Hello and welcome to another acysecurities market update. My name is Alistair Schultz and I'm going to be your host for today's trading journey. Now today's video is all about the Australian unemployment rate. I am looking at the figures more specifically to see what might be going on. Now the first thing I want to do is have a look at the actual numbers that we're seeing. The first thing you'll notice is the total employment has dropped by 594,000 people. This also means the total unemployment rate has only risen by 104,000. Those two numbers don't add up to me. How can you have 500,000 people or nearly 600,000 people without jobs or lose their jobs, but only have the unemployment rate go up by 100,000? That doesn't add up at all. So I thought I'd dig a little bit deeper. Now we can see that the unemployment rate has only risen by 1% to 6.2%. We've got a participation rate that has dropped by 2.4%. Now that's actually pretty big to look at. Participation rate really talks about how many people are actively in the workforce looking for jobs. So if you've had a 2.4% drop, so a very large number of people, then that means that they're not looking for work at all at the moment. Could this be because they're retiring? I don't think so. Is it likely to do with the fact that they don't see that there are many jobs out there right now? I think that is more likely the situation. Now, we've also got underemployment occurring with 13.7%. That's interesting to see, especially considering they're talking about having not had only 100,000 people file for unemployment. That doesn't seem to add up at all. Now, there are other parts of this. I've gone through the data on how to look. Youth unemployment is at 13.8%. There are 860,000 businesses that have applied for JobKeeper, which is the government stimulus package that basically pays your employees for you to keep them on. Now, what aren't they really saying inside the ABS report? What do you have to go and look for outside of that? Well, the first things that come to mind and first things that I notice is that they do not count the 6 million Australians that they are currently paying JobKeeper to. So that means even though they're not technically working and they are under via classification employed at their business who are subsidising their wages, doesn't get counted as unemployment, unfortunately, but that would certainly contribute to it. It just means that there are 6 million government employees at this point in time that aren't actually doing too much. Now, the next stage to have a look at that there is that there are 500,000 people supposedly not looking for work. If that's the case, well, why would the participation rate drop by 2.4%? That means that that figure should be a little bit higher. Now, the next one to have a look here is that it is the lowest participation rate that we've seen in 16 years in Australia. So again, not something that's good for the economy. It indicates that there are likely less jobs out there than are currently thought of. The next piece to have a look at is that gig workers and casual employment was not included in the unemployment rate or the figures that come with it. They are only counting part-time workers and full-time workers. So that means that there are a lot of Australians out there who are not receiving some of the benefits and do not count towards the unemployment rate. Likely being many of these workers are probably in the youthful side of the employment force. So it will be interesting to see what they say. Now, the other thing that's been noted is that there's been supposedly 2.7 million people that have been affected by coronavirus via either losing their jobs or having their hours reduced. So those numbers again don't add up. You've got 6 million people that you were paying JobKeeper to. How are only 2.7 million of them having issues with their work? That's not making any sense to me. So I think there are a number of things here that we need to really look and read between the lines and get a gauge of your own idea on what goes on. Now, we can say the same thing about the US situation as well. They suggested that it was only a 14.7% unemployment rate, but then the real unemployment rate as quoted by Steve Mnuchin is somewhere in the 25% range. So here in the Australian circumstance, whilst they say 6.2%, I would anticipate that to be much higher. Now, interestingly enough, the Reserve Bank of Australia's forecasts are also much higher than what has come out today. They are anticipating that by some stage in June, we'll have an unemployment rate of about 10% and the total economy will contract by about 10%. So naturally, these sort of figures are more important to me on the RBA side of things because it feels like they're probably a little bit more in touch and they're not going to be trying to do the same sort of figure swapping around that we've seen today. Now, Let's hope for the best and say that the figures are accurate and that there aren't this many people that are what's being recorded or reported through media as being a problem. Hopefully we do get some resolution soon and people can go back to work. Now, if there's anything that you would like to get in contact with me about, perhaps it's some of the information on today's video, perhaps you are skeptical as I am about the employment figures, then feel free to shoot me an email at talk2al@acy.com and I'll happily respond to you when I get the chance to. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video so you can get more great content from me and ACY Securities in the future. Have a great trading day ahead.